Good morning, everyone. My name's Helen Miller from Ohio EPA. We'll be starting our presentation in approximately 1 minute as we still have some folks logging on. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Biennial Hazardous Waste Report training webinar. My name's Helen Miller with the Division of Environmental and Financial Assistance here at Ohio EPA, and I'll be moderating this morning's presentation with Ohio EPA's Lexi Evans from our Division of Environmental Response and Revitalization. Before we get started, I'd like to go over a few items to help you participate and engage with our presenter. On this slide, you see an example screenshot of your attendee interface. You should see something that looks like this on your computer desktop on the right-hand side of your screen. For this presentation, you're listening in using your computer audio. If you're having sound issues, or if the slides stop advancing, please try refreshing your browser. If that doesn't work, try logging off and logging back in. Please feel free to submit questions to the presenter by clicking on the question mark icon and typing them into the questions pane on your attendee interface. You may send your questions in at any time during the presentation. We'll try our best to answer questions as they come in and during the Q&A portion. If we don't answer your question during the Q&A portion, we will reach out to you via email following today's webinar. You can also click on the document icon to view included handouts. The handouts today include a PDF file of the PowerPoint slides. This webinar is being recorded, and you will receive an email after the webinar with a link to the recording, a link to the survey, and a link to your certificate of attendance. The survey will also pop up once the webinar ends. We value your feedback and would greatly appreciate it if you let us know how we're doing and let us know if there's anything we can do to further assist you. This webinar is approved for 1 hour of registered environmental health specialist and environmental health specialist in training credit. To receive credit for attending, please provide your REHS or EHSIT number in the post-webinar survey, so Ohio EPA can submit on your behalf to the Ohio Department of Health. With that, I'm going to turn the mic over to Lexi.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. As Helen mentioned, my name is Lexi Evans, and I am the Environmental Specialist 3 in Ohio EPA's Division of Environmental Response and Revitalization's RCRA Info Data Management and Permitting Group. I am the report lead for biennial hazardous waste reporting, and I've been with Ohio EPA for a little over 5 years now. Today, we will be covering the 2023 Biennial Hazardous Waste Report. We're going to cover a variety of topics today, including what is new on the 2023 report, basic information about biennial reports, who has to report, prepping for your report, a quick plug for RCRA info, and how you can file your report either electronically or with paper forms. Then we will go over the forms in greater detail. Near the end, I will talk a little bit about Ohio EPA's review process, as well as provide additional resources and contact information. I will also show you the resources located on our hazardous waste reporting webpage and answer any questions you might have. If you filed a biennial hazardous waste report in the 2021 cycle, you will notice just a few small differences between the 2021 cycle and this cycle, starting with management method codes. The management method code H135, which was discharged to a sewer and/or POTW or NPDES, is no longer an option. You must select either the H136, which is discharged to a sewer and/or POTW, or H137, which is discharged to an NPDES permit. Management Method Codes H113, stabilization to remove hazardous waste characteristics or to achieve delisting levels, and H041, open burning and open detonation, are new this cycle. Ohio EPA has amended the existing universal waste rules in accordance with US EPA's addition of aerosol containers to the universal waste rules as well. Aerosol cans are no longer an Ohio-specific universal waste, but they still are eligible to be managed as a universal waste. And then effective June 12th of last year, facilities can notify that they are managing hazardous secondary materials, otherwise known as HSM, in compliance with the rules outlined in OAC, or have stopped managing excluded HSM in compliance with the exclusions, and do not expect to manage any amount of excluded HSM under the exclusions for at least 1 year. This addendum has been added to the Site ID section of the electronic report. If you are filing via paper forms, you will need to complete and attach the additional HSM addendum. A new validation check is associated with the regulated activity of recycler. If you check that your site is a recycler of hazardous waste, you must also check the receives hazardous waste from off-site regulated activity. There are no physical changes to the Site ID, GM, OI, WR, and PS forms for this reporting cycle. A binary report, also known as a BR, is a report that contains information about a regulated facility's hazardous waste activities, including hazardous waste generation and management during a reporting year. It is made up of at least a Site ID form, generation and management form, and offsite transporters and receiving facility form. If you received hazardous waste from offsite, you are also required to file a waste received from offsite form. If your facility treats, stores, or disposes of hazardous waste on site, also known as a TSDF, you must also complete a process systems form for each treatment process. There are only a handful of facilities that are required to complete the PS form, but we will cover these forms in greater detail later. The report is due by March 21st of this year, although Ohio EPA does recommend that you complete your report much sooner in case you have hiccups. You may complete the report in two ways, either paper or electronically. If you file via paper forms, please note that the report must be mailed and received by March 1st of 2024 and not just postmarked by that date. Ohio EPA recommends that everyone file electronically through our eDrums reporting software. In fact, we just created 2 new presentations outlining every single step of the electronic reporting system. Those are located on our hazardous waste reporting webpage, which I will point out later in the webinar. So there are 4 groups of facilities that are required to file, with the first group being the most common, and those facilities would be our large quantity generators. These facilities generated more than 2,200 pounds of hazardous waste, or more than 2.2 pounds of acutely hazardous waste, during at least 1 month of 2023. This does not include sites that filed and used the episodic generator provisions. So, in other words, even if your site generated at LQG levels during only 1 month of 2023, and you did not file an episodic generator addendum with Ohio EPA, you are required to file a biennial report. The next group of people that will be filing a binary report are treatment, storage, and disposal facilities. These are mostly permitted sites that receive and dispose of waste from other offsite generators. The next group is going to be our recyclers with 2 caveats. Only recyclers who are required to file are those who do not store recyclable material prior to recycling, and those who store the recyclable material for up to 72 hours after the waste has been received. These are also known as our 72-hour recyclers. The last group of sites that are required to report are our reverse distributors of hazardous waste pharmaceuticals. As of this moment, Ohio only has 1 of these facilities. So before you actually begin your report, I highly recommend putting together some information to make the process of reporting go much faster. You will want to have copies or access to copies of your hazardous waste manifest, as well as records of quantities of hazardous waste generated or accumulated at your site during the year 2023. I know that hazardous waste brokers and receiving facilities will often send out end-of-year summaries. I highly recommend obtaining these and using them in conjunction with manifest data. You can view manifest data online using RCRA Info, also known as My RCRA ID. If you do not have a if you do not have a RCRA Info account, I highly suggest obtaining one. It is wonderful. Not only does it save time, but it also cuts down on paper, postage, and stores all of your previous submission information. There are two different modules in RCRA Info, and that first module is the My RCRA ID module, which allows you to submit notifications, otherwise known as the Site ID form, updating information pertaining to your site during non-reporting times. For example, if you have a site contact change, you could log into your RCRA Info account, select the My RCRA ID module, and submit a new notification with the new site contact information. My RCRA ID will save the information previously submitted, so you only have to change what is needed. Submissions are also processed within 1 to 2 business days, whereas paper forms can take up to 2 weeks for processing. The second module in My RCRA ID is the eManifest module. Here you can view and certify manifests associated with your EPA ID. This allows you to no longer keep paper copies of manifest records. Individuals must possess their own account, as account sharing in RCRA Info is against US EPA rules and regulations. You will need to obtain an industry user account when you register. Multiple accounts can be associated with a single EPA ID as well, as there are multiple levels of permissions. Users can possess either the viewer, certifier, or site manager permissions. Site managers are the only users who can approve user requests from other individuals. To find out more on RCRA Info, please visit Ohio EPA's Notification of Regulated Waste Activity webpage. Ohio EPA does not use RCRA Info for biennial reporting like many other states. We have our own reporting software, known as eDrums, which is housed in Ohio EPA's eBusiness Center. You might be familiar with the eBusiness Center if your site is required to submit other reports for divisions like air and water. To access the eBusiness Center, you must have an OHID account. From your OHID account, you can launch the eBusiness Center by opening the application under My Apps. Once you have opened the application and landed on the eBusiness Center homepage, you can click on the eDrums under Available Services. We just created 2 new PowerPoint presentations again that contain voiceovers and videos outlining every single step from obtaining your OHID account to accessing eBusiness Center and then actually creating an entire report in eDrums. Again, these presentations can be found on DER's Haz Waste Reporting webpage, which I'll point out later in the webinar. I highly recommend filing electronically, as you can create a new report from a previous copy as well as have multiple people work on the report. There are multiple roles a user can possess in eDrums, just like in RCRA Info. These roles are viewer, preparer, and submitter. The reporting software also has built-in edit checks. So as I mentioned, there are 4 different types of roles in eDrums that a user can possess. The first is the read-only role. This role allows the user to view a report only. The user cannot change or submit information pertaining to a report. The second role is the preparer role. This role allows the user to add, update, and delete data within a report, but does not actually allow the user to submit the report. Please note that the read-only and prepare roles cannot be delegated or requested through Ohio EPA. Only responsible official and delegated responsible official can be requested through Ohio EPA. Responsible officials can delegate read and prepare access to users electronically in eDrums. The third role is the responsible official role. This role is also known as the RO, or the submitter. This user can add, update, delete, and submit the report, as well as delegate permissions to other users electronically. And then the fourth and final role is the delegated responsible official. This role is also known as the DRO. This user can add, update, delete, and submit the report, but the user cannot delegate access to other users. Users, again, can only request RO or DRO access from Ohio EPA. The read-only and prepare rules must be delegated electronically by your RO. If you request DRO access from Ohio EPA, you must print the Delegation of Authority form, also known as the DOA, that is automatically generated by the system at the time of your request. The responsible official then must complete the DOA form and mail it to Ohio EPA. Once Ohio EPA receives your DOA form, we will grant you access. If you are filing your report using paper forms, they must be received by Ohio EPA on March 1st of this year, not just postmarked. The paper forms can be found at the bottom of our hazardous waste reporting webpage. Switching gears back to the contents of this year's report, once you have established that your site is required to file, the first form you will complete is the Site ID form. This form is also known as the RCRA Subtitle C Site ID form and the Ohio EPA 9029 form. There is a federal version of this form known as the 8700. Many of you may already have seen this form because it is the same form you would complete to update information pertaining to your EPA ID when you're not filing a biennial report. If you file your report using the paper forms, you may use either the Ohio or federal version of the form. Ohio does accept both. However, you must only complete one or the other, not both. The site ID will require you to complete information about the site, such as legal name, address, EPA ID, owner and operator information, contact person information, as well as regulated activities such as generator status and applicable hazardous waste codes. The second form that makes up a biennial report is the GM form. A GM form should be created for each waste stream as you will report how the waste was generated and managed. You cannot list all waste generated at the facility on one GM form unless it was all generated from the same waste stream. It is on the GM form that you will list a waste description, source codes, waste form code, waste minimization code, amount of waste generated, and where that waste went if it was shipped off-site. If the waste was treated on-site, there is a section for that information. You can also add comments if there is anything worth noting regarding a particular waste stream. If your facility routinely generates the same hazardous waste streams, again, I highly recommend that you file electronically because you can create a new report from a previous report that will bring forward your GM forms so that you do not have to recreate them. You will just need to update the amount of hazardous waste generated for that stream as well as where the waste went. The third form that almost every site will complete is the OI form. This is the form where you will list all of your hazardous waste transporters and receiving facilities. If you are filing paper forms, If you are filing with paper forms, you do not need to attach an OI form with every GM form. You can simply provide one OI form listing all transporters and receiving facilities. If you are filing electronically, you will not be able to add receiving facilities to the OI form as receiving facilities must be listed on GM forms. The reporting software will automatically bring forward the receiving facility the receiving facility from the GM form and automatically add it to your OI form. The same goes for deleting a receiving facility. You cannot delete a receiving facility from an OI form. It must be done on the corresponding GM form. The WR form is the fourth form that would make up a biennial hazardous waste report, but again, it should only be completed by sites that received RCRA has waste from other offsite generators. This form requires that the offsite generator information be provided as well as how much waste was received from the generator. Again, only receiving facilities should complete this report. The fifth and final form that makes up a biennial report is the PS form. Again, this form should only be completed by commercial receiving facilities. These are sites that treat, dispose of, or store waste. This type of activity requires a permit. This form requires that the quantity of each hazardous waste treatment, disposal, or recycling process system that operated during 2023 be reported. A separate PS form would need completed for each different process system except for storage. Ohio EPA takes pride in our data quality and lengthy review process when it comes to biennial hazardous waste reports. Reports are due March 1st, but Ohio EPA will not complete its review of over 700 reports received until late fall of 2024. We take each report and compare the site ID form against what is listed in the national database RCRA. We are looking for any major changes. Regarding the meat of the report, the GM forms are compared against not only previously submitted reports, but also manifest data in in-state and out-of-state receiving reports. Ohio likes to see less than a 10% difference between weights reported and manifest data. We also look for similarly reported waste streams and management methods between the generator's report and the receiving facility reports. The OI is compared against manifest data as well. It is extremely important to review your manifest data throughout the year to ensure information is correct and that there are no missing manifests. If Ohio EPA has any questions regarding your report, we will send you an email directly. After reports have been reviewed and approved, they are submitted to US EPA. If you have questions regarding reporting, please contact the Division of Environmental Response and Revitalization either by phone or email. We prefer that you utilize email so that you can send specific screenshots regarding your questions. If you are filing electronically, eDrums has built-in hyperlinks to activity definitions, contact information, and our Has Waste Reporting webpage. US EPA also has a resource called LearningZen that has online courses specific to biennial hazardous waste reporting. LearningZen also has courses for RCRA as well. And then I wanted to give a brief overview of our hazardous waste reporting webpage because it's full of great information that we update every report cycle. At the top of the page, you will find a paragraph that tells you what a biennial report is and when the next one is due. The Who Must File section outlines exactly what facilities are required to file as well as the corresponding rule references. Under Quick References, you will find that cycle's detailed instruction booklet, a list of national treatment storage disposal facilities, a list of RCRA hazardous waste codes, a document that covers reportable versus non-reportable wastes, and finally, contact email. I highly recommend checking out the 2023 Hazardous Waste Instruction Booklet as it will break down every single piece of a biennial report in great detail. The middle of the page consists of information regarding OHID and eDrums user roles. The documents highlighted in pink are step-by-step instructions for OHID, as well as what to do if you or your facility have staff changes that require a change in eDrums roles. Near the very bottom of the web page are the two brand new step-by-step training videos I've mentioned a few times. The first session will cover how to get started in eBiz and eDrums. The second session will cover how to actually create a report from scratch or a previous copy. Both sessions are available in VoiceOver and just presentation slides. The last portion of the Hazardous Waste Report webpage is the paper form section. Here you can find links to the site ID, GM, WR, and PS forms, as well as the LQG consolidation of VSQG Hazardous Waste Addendum. The address of where to mail the forms is also provided here. And Helen, with that, I thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to join us today. I'm if we have any questions.
Yes, we have gotten quite a few questions
Okay.
coming in. So first off, I'd just like to mention again, the PowerPoint slides are included as a PDF if you go to your document icon, because I know some people were logging on a little late. And all of those links in all of those slides are live there. So you want to download that as a resource. Also, just continue, sending your questions in. We do have our behind the scenes team looking at those and basically highlighting the ones that I'm going to be asking here. So, okay, the first question is, the facility had an episodic event in 2023. Since then, the facility has been a VSQG. Does the facility have to submit a biennial report for 2023?
The facility would only have to submit a biennial report if they did not file the episodic generator addendum with Ohio EPA. So it's actually an additional addendum along with your site ID form that you would have submitted either electronically through RCRA info or sent us a paper copy via mail. If you did not complete that paperwork, then yes, you would be required to file a report. And the other caveat with that, is that if your site generated at LQG levels outside of the 60-day allowance of the episodic generator event, then you would be required to file a biennial report because you did not meet the timeline requirement of the episodic event.
Okay, our next question is, do we submit two reports, one for 2023 and 2022? If not, how do we capture the hazardous waste for 2022?
So you are not required to file a report for 2022. Waste generated in even numbered years is not information that Ohio EPA collects on. Other states might have annual reports, but Ohio is not one of them. In fact, that data generation is actually captured in eManifest now, along with your shipments. So please do not file a 2022 biennial hazardous waste report. You're only going to file for 2023, and that's all waste generated and shipped during 2023.
Okay. Next question is, do we report hazardous waste received from international companies?
Yes. So if you received haz waste from international companies, you are going to report just like you would for an in-country receiving facility. The only difference is that each out-of-country receiving facility possesses what we call a foreign ID number. And that's an ID number that Ohio EPA has specifically signed to that out-of-country receiving facility so that we can track them for purposes of reporting. There is a great PDF on our webpage, Haz Waste Reporting webpage, that lists out those foreign country ID numbers. They'll be at the bottom of the National Treatment Storage Disposal PDF I pointed out. If you do not see that your receiving facility out of country is listed on there, please feel free to send us an email with the facility name as well as their address, and we would be happy to assign them a foreign ID number and add it to our reporting software. But yes, you do need to report out of country waste shipments.
Okay, if you are managing aerosols as universal waste, do you have to report aerosols on this report?
No. So if you are generating universal waste, whether that's aerosols, paint, batteries, lamps, any of those universal wastes are not to be reported on your biennial hazardous waste report because they no longer count towards your hazardous waste generator status.
Okay. Let's see, the next one is, I can't find my transporter or receiving facility in the drop-down lists. What do I do?
So if you can't find your receiving facility or your transporter in eDrums, please send us an email to the email listed on the contact page of this presentation, and we would be happy to add that into our reporting software, if you could please send us the receiving facility or transporter name, as well as the address and EPA ID number for in-country transporters and receiving facilities, and we will take a look and see if we need to add that.
Okay, next question is, what if my site is currently registered as an LQG, but did not generate at LQG levels during 2023? Do I still need to submit?
So if your site is currently registered in the national database of RCRA info as an LQG, but you did not actually generate at LQG levels during 2023, you are not required to file a biennial hazardous waste report. However, you do have the requirement of filing a site ID or notification form letting us know, hey, we're maintaining our LQG status, but we didn't generate anything during 2023. Or if you're not an LQG at that point anymore, you can always downgrade to a small quantity generator or a very small quantity generator. So although you're not required to file a binary report, you should still be submitting a notification form.
Okay, my facility is an SQG. When do we need to send in the site ID form?
Okay, so this is a little bit of a different topic. This involves the small quantity generator 4-year notification requirement, and that is 4 years from when the facility last submitted. So if you submitted a notification today, in 4 years as an SQG, you're required to submit again. So whenever the last time you notified was, it should be 4 years from that date that you have to submit another notification to meet that requirement.
Okay, I know that we have quite a few questions that have come in, and some of them are very specific. So if we do not answer your question, you will get a follow-up email after the webinar. And we are going to wrap up with one last question. Should I report my universal waste or hazardous waste pharmaceuticals?
So you should not report your universal waste or your hazardous waste pharmaceuticals on your binary report because those two waste streams no longer count towards your hazardous waste generator status. Specifically, Subpart P, otherwise known as your haz waste pharmaceuticals, if your facility subtracts its hazardous waste pharmaceutical generation from its regular hazardous waste generation per month, and you are still an LQG or SQG, you are required to notify under Subpart P, and you should not be reporting that waste on your biennial reports.
Okay, I see another last minute question that was just put up, so we'll go to this. If filing in lieu of an episodic event, do we need to submit for the entire year or only the time in which we were an LQG versus an SQG?
Sure. So you would need to file for the entire year. So just because you are LQG maybe during 1 week, 1 day, 1 month of 2023, you still need to report for the entire year.
Okay. Well, I think that wraps it up for us. And I know that Lexi had left some contact information as well if you have further questions. And again, staff will be following up via email after the webinar. So with that, I'd like to thank Lexi for her great presentation and thank you everyone for attending today's webinar. And thank you to the behind the scenes team for answering questions and helping the webinar move smoothly. A reminder again, the webinar is being recorded and you will receive an email after the webinar with a link to the recording, a link to the session survey, and a link to your certificate of attendance. And the session survey will also pop up once the webinar ends. We value your feedback and we greatly appreciate it if you let us know how we're doing and let us know if there's anything we can do to further assist you. As a reminder, CEUs are available for the session. To receive credit for REHS or EHSIT certification hours, please respond to the question about CEUs in the survey. And we'd also like to bring your attention to our Encouraging Environmental Excellence Award program. This program recognizes entities for exceptional achievements in environmental stewardship. Is your organization going beyond to reduce your environmental impact? Examples can include lighting retrofits, reducing water energy use, recycling efforts, and process improvements. Is your community implementing sustainable measures to reduce their environmental impact? Examples can include community gardening, energy water reduction, green roofs, and smart transportation. And then many of us have children in school. Is your K through 12 student implementing student-led sustainable activities at their school? Examples can include encouraging recycling, water bottle refilling stations, bus anti-idling policies, and composting. This program has different levels of recognition for organizations, communities, and schools. Please go to the website on the slide to learn more, and applications for this program are due April 30th. Next, I'm going to highlight a few of our other services you might be interested in. Our Recycling and Sustainability Unit provides free and confidential assistance to help Ohio businesses, communities, and organizations with pollution prevention efforts. Our team can provide on-site or virtual assistance to help identify and evaluate opportunities for reduction in waste, energy, water, and other sustainability initiatives. Feel free to reach out for more information on our P2 services. Then we also have the Ohio Materials Marketplace. This is a free online platform that allows Ohio businesses, manufacturers, nonprofits, and other organizations to connect and find reuse and recycling solutions for their waste, byproducts, and surplus materials. Participating in the Ohio Materials Marketplace is open to any company or organization with operations in Ohio, and it's non-regulatory. Please reach out to us with questions or assistance requests regarding OHM. Before we end for the day, check out some upcoming webinars. Later this week, we have our Water Supply Revolving Loan Account Program Year 2025 Updates and Highlights webinar. Join us to review program updates and what's new for the WSRLA in Program Year 2025. The WSRLA offers low-interest loan funds for a wide range of public drinking water system needs. The webinar will provide an update on activities and priorities that may be new and revised for the upcoming program year, and also information regarding the project nomination process for planning, design, and/or construction projects seeking funds during 2025 will be reviewed. We're also partnering with the Ohio Bureau of Workers' Compensation on an environmental health track with 11 sessions at the 2024 Ohio Safety Congress and Expo. And that's March 27th through 29th in Columbus, and all sessions are free, so go to their website for more details. To register for upcoming webinars, check out our agency event calendar, the link on the slide. The event link is also on the bottom web page footer at the bottom of each web page. If you miss past webinars, you can go to DEFA's web page at the link on the slide. And once you're on our web page, click on the word training on the left-hand menu column. Here you'll find recordings of trainings you may have missed. You can also go to our agency YouTube channel to view recorded webinars. And we'll post a recording of this webinar on our YouTube channel. It usually posts within a week of the webinar. We'll also post a PDF copy of the PowerPoint slides with the recording. And the YouTube channel link can be found at the bottom of each of our web pages in the footer. The YouTube icon's next to the Twitter icon on the bottom right side. To receive notifications of upcoming webinars, go to our Ohio EPA Resource Hub. You can create an account, then go to the option Subscribe to Updates, and then select the option All Trainings, Webinars, and Conferences. And you go to the link on the slide, and the Resource Hub is also at the bottom footer of each web page. With that, we'll end today's webinar. Thank you again for joining us, and have a great day.